So moving on, let's go to another Disney show that dropped last night. You saw this. We all saw this. This is also why we were having very, very late Tuesdays or early, depending on your, perspective. Obi-Wan dropped last night. We got a new episode of Obi-Wan Kenobi where we're picking up where we left off. We're hanging out with these rebels. Things are going amok. Rob, how did you feel about this episode?
Well, look, here's the thing. I thought this episode was much better than the previous episode, than episode 4. There was a lot in this episode that I did like and a lot that I didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm very perplexed by this show in general. And what perplexes me is I feel like, okay, I don't want to spoil anything, but no, because I won't. I don't want to.
We won't until we do our spoiler show.
It's hard, but there was, we talked about, I'll say this, we talked about getting a flashback. And I felt that there is a flashback in this episode.
Yes.
And it is an ongoing flashback that is woven through the duration of this episode. But I felt that flashback was something that we already knew.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a lesson that was imparted to Luke in the original Star Wars by Ben Kenobi when he's working with the remotes. Good against the remotes is one thing, good against the living, that's something else.
Yeah.
And that's what Han Solo said. And then putting down and by when I got to the end of that flashback, I'm like, come on. Really? Like that's what we get? I mean, that's your great insight. And it was maddening because we as fans were way ahead of that lesson when it began.
Yes.
And I felt like it was a scene that they decided almost in editorial to weave throughout the whole episode. But when you're going to do that, you damn well better stick that lesson landing, whatever. I mean, if you want to, and I feel like that show, when it could, the idea was correct. The idea was sound, but the message and where that took us was something we already knew.
Exactly.
This was no insight at all. And it was, I thought that there was going to be some kind of like a gut punch at the end. There was not.
I agree with that. It does feel like the execution, as most of the show has felt, in my opinion, has been a little off. And I like the stick the landing thing. This does feel like it's a wobbly balance beam routine where there's moments of greatness, because there's some great
there's
lines
great moments
here.
in this. And I just, it's maddening to watch because these are things that I don't understand how intelligent people look. I've edited films. I've sat in edit bays when other people are editing. You sit down and you watch these things and you discuss and debate. And I can't understand why somebody comes to the end of this episode and goes, yep, that's the message we want to give to. And I'm like, when I was, actually, Star Wars didn't exist till I was 10. But if I was 6 and I had seen a few Star Wars movies and watched this, I would have been way ahead of the lesson that was being imparted. I'm like, that's kind of what a master and Padawan's relationship is all about, right?
Well, I've only lived in a world where Star Wars has always existed, which is, I mean, what a gift.
Yes.
To be alive with there was always and forever Star Wars.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you. I mean, that's what people forget is I lived in a world where there wasn't. And then Star Wars was so transformative and so I mean, what it did to pop culture, what it did to my imagination and the imaginations of the world cannot be undersold because now it's ubiquitous. It's everywhere. Every kid goes through let's go get a lightsaber, and I mean, everybody.
I'm still at that stage.
Yes, me too. Too many. But that's why I feel that what we're seeing is so, in a way, to me, a little disappointing because I've had Star Wars for most of my life, but I remember what the world was like pre-Star Wars. So I expect more from it because when Star Wars first came out, all of it was transcendent. All of it was new. And it was something no one had ever seen before. Now we don't have that. Now we've seen this before. So give me new messages. Don't give me a message that I understood in the late 70s again.
Well, with that in mind too, do you think that Star Wars now just has a really high expectation level that just can't be met because of how, this fandom has become so much more than those original 3 films, right? It's transcended what it initially was. It sparked so many different filmmakers, comic book authors, fans in general. There's a whole mythology that goes with these now. Is it possible to meet a fan's expectation when you've reached that legendary level?
That's a really great question.
Thank you.
I think the problem with modern Star Wars is that because we love it so much, we all make excuses.
Oh.
And we're making excuses for everything because here's the thing. We're getting a Book of Boba Fett show. We've had since 1980, actually, if you go back to the holiday special, since it was first introduced, the animated version of Boba Fett, here's a character that's been around literally since 1978. Mm-hmm. And when we finally get something from him, let's just say what we want is a Michael Mann level crime thriller, whether it's Heat or something like that. When I see Boba Fett, his backstory has got to be the man with no name, Clint Eastwood, good, the bad, and the ugly. And what we get isn't that.
Well, that's what we got with The Mandalorian, basically.
Well, yeah. And The Mandalorian was the Boba Fett TV show. That was, and yet we always are making these excuses, like, because we love Star Wars so much. I mean, I love Star Wars so much, but and again, Star Wars was amazing. Empire Strikes Back was even more amazing. Mm-hmm. So when Star Wars began, it was always incredible. My first big letdown, and people don't understand this, was Return of the Jedi. Remains the most disappointing movie I've ever seen in my entire life. Really? I know people are going, what? Because Star Wars and Empire was all new. Everything was new. It was plussing the mythology. Now, aside from the great opening, I love the swashbuckling rescue of Han Solo, and I love the confrontation with the Emperor at the end.
Yes.
The rest of that movie is completely inconsequential. Whereas if you look at the middle of Empire Strikes Back, you have Luke learning from Yoda. He's learning from a Jedi Master. So we basically, you could have had a confrontation we do at the end of Empire. Mm-hmm. You get the same thing at the end of Jedi that you already got in the previous 2 Star Wars movies. There's nothing new in it. He's already confronted Vader, but this time he's more prepared. We have a space battle over the Death Star, which we got in the first Star Wars movie. And I feel that's all Star Wars is now, is repeating things we've already got.
I was going to say, and that seems to be the issue with Obi-Wan, is we're seeing a lot of the same.
Rescue Princess Leia.
Mm-hmm. Well, and some of the more interesting, exciting things, too, which we'll get into when we do our open spoiler discussion, our after show. Some of the new exciting things, they're not with us now. So we'll see how this goes.
Guys, we want to take just a minute and thank the sponsor of this video, Masterclass. Masterclass is offering classes on a wide variety of topics, like all taught by world-class masters at the absolute tops of their field. Each class is broken down out into individual video lessons, usually like around 10 minutes or so long, and members can explore at their own pace. And each class is supported by downloadable materials, lessons, recipes, or more that you can all find at masterclass.com. For example, are you into streaming? Well, you can take the Building Your Streaming class taught by ninjas so you can sharpen up on your streaming skills. Or if you're interested in independent filmmaking, take independent filmmaking from Academy Award winner Spike Lee. You want to get classes on how to direct? How about from Ron Howard? The very first one I personally looked up and got into was Business Leadership by the great Big Papa Iger, Bob Iger himself. And I was absolutely enthralled with it. I love every single minute of this stuff. If any of those apply to you, you need to try Masterclass. So I highly recommend that you check it out. Get unlimited access to every Masterclass. And as a John Campea Show viewer, you get 15% off an annual membership. Go to masterclass.com/Campea. Once again, to get 15% off your annual membership, go to masterclass.com/Campea.
Now everyone's people hate me now.
They
hate me.
I minimize my chat because I don't want to read the comments that are about to come up, because I'm going to speak as someone who hasn't finished or watched the whole original trilogy completely. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't think I've watched them through, at all, any one of those movies. And so, I'm watching this with fresh eyes, kind of, just knowing from what you guys have mentioned, the Star Wars fans like you, Rob, John, about these characters. Boba Fett, knowing how cool he looked to me when I saw him in action figure form, whatever. and from what you guys were saying, it seemed very badass. And then after Book of Boba Fett, that character is not appealing to me at all. I saw a Boba Fett figure at Target the other day, where normally I would think, this is badass, I'm gonna pick this up. I didn't even pick it up. I'm just like, and now I'm afraid what's happening with that is happening with Obi-Wan. As much as I love Ewan McGregor, he's great. Him playing this, it should only be him. Like, but the story that they're giving, this character is becoming not appealing to me either. Like, I had this just this thought of what Obi-Wan is, or in my head, and it's coming out completely different. And I've liked most of the Obi-Wan series. Even the last episode was great to me. For some reason, this episode, I don't know if I watched it in a bad mood or whatever, but it was, it might be the first episode I didn't care for, at least. I mean, it felt like what you got out of the episode could have been attached to the last episode on the back end. You know, the outcome of this episode, what we find or what we get, it didn't have to be drawn out into this whole episode. Like, we could have seen all that at the end of, because last week's episode was only, 40 minutes? Extra 15 minutes? This could have been told right there. You know, like what the as in story-wise. So, and I also get sad that there's one more episode left. So I'm hoping, you know, even if there is a payoff at the end, I don't know what my thoughts on Obi-Wan are, if he's not going to appeal to me like what happened with Book of Boba Fett. It made me...
The thing is, the payoff at the end is this movie called Star Wars.
Yeah.
And that's what I find so frustrating is there's all these elements. There's Princess Leia and there's Darth Vader. And, you know, we're all waiting for something we've seen before, which is, we're going to watch this great fight between Vader and Obi-Wan. Well, I mean,
I keep forgetting.
We got that in Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
You know, and then we see Obi-Wan sort of capitulate to Vader in Star Wars, which works out. I mean, do I have to watch yet another lightsaber duel that isn't even staged as well as it is in the movies?
Ooh.
You know, and that's what the thing is, the story that's being told is not serving the character of Obi-Wan Kenobi well.
Yeah.
And that's what I want. I want a story, whether it's, look, does it have to be the Iliad or the Odyssey starring Obi-Wan rather than Odysseus or whatever? Perhaps not. But I would love a show that doesn't rely on all of this stuff. Like, we're waiting to see this conflict. What we should be doing is waiting to see Obi-Wan moving through the survivor's guilt he has to feel. I mean, think about it. The man was disgraced. Everything he believed in, his Jedi order from the time he was a youngling, it was all stripped away. The Jedis were idiots. They allowed the greatest evil in the galaxy to come up right in the midst of them.
Yeah, and helped foster it.
And then his Padawan becomes Vader. Like, what does a guy who's suffering from that kind of survivor's guilt, what does he do to come back from this? Well, he goes and he does things that we've seen in other movies.
Well, and I will say, too, and the chat brought this up, a few people in here did, of, you know, Star Wars has tried some different things sometimes, you know, Last Jedi, however you feel about that, that was a different direction that then got shoehorned kind of towards what we knew again, right? And that wasn't executed particularly well either, in my opinion. So that is where I'm kind of locked on this of, am I being too hard? Do I want more of the same? Do I really want new things? And I'm trying to kind of figure out my own needle on this of, am I giving this the kind of viewing that I should, that's fair for this show? And I don't know if I'm able to because of my fandom towards this.
But the thing is, I think people are. You know, the problem is we're all like, I feel like I'm in denial about where Star Wars is at from a storytelling perspective, because the even with something like, if you're a kid that was born today and you discover Star Wars when you're 5 or 6 and you're watching, how are you going to feel when you get to the end of Return of the Jedi and you immediately put in Force Awakens? And your characters they've gone through these movies and the galaxy's been taken back, the Emperor is destroyed, the Empire falls, we're fireworks on Coruscant, and then of course you watch Force Awakens and all of that is swept away, and everybody, our characters have failed and allowed the First Order to rise.
That is a great question, Rob.
How is that going to be for kids? I'd be like, what, Mom, what happened here? I mean, these were good characters. Why did they allow who the Resistance? What is this?
Oh man, that poor kid.
You know,
That
the
poor
only thing
kid.
making me happy right now with Star Wars is this right here. Can you just show this real quick?
Ooh,
Look at
Yeah.
this. Isn't
Look at
that
how
so
cute he
It's like a
looked.
little Darth Maul. I got it with points.
Wow, multiple head
man.
sculpts. Look at that.
Look at
Yeah,
that adorable.
See,
little
I look at
murderer.
that and I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta
That's
go get it.
awesome.
You know, I want to open up my Hot
You know what,
Toys
though?
Darth Maul and a Sith speeder.
Ray did bring up one.
One?
No. I mean something that we haven't touched on, and he said, you know, I wasn't even inspired to buy a Boba Fett toy. I know that sounds silly, but Disney and Star Wars is about selling toys, and if they start seeing a slump in toys, like kids just don't want to buy those toys, they're not interesting characters across the board. Money talks and merchandising talks, and you're gonna start getting some notes back.
They need to start packaging those Boba Fett toys without a gun or a blaster anymore. It should just be a talking feature because he's gonna talk it out with you.
Boba Fett should be the John Wick
Yeah,
of the Star Wars universe.
Like with Obi-Wan and Boba Fett. I hate to be vulgar in this, but I wish there was a little bit more balls with both the characters. I want to, I want to see more balls. Come on. I don't mean that.
But no, but I
I wish
understand.
there was a little more, when those guys should have shown a little bit more strength, a little bit, just a teeny little bit. I get what they're doing, but you know what?
Well, and hopefully that's the payoff we get in this final episode. Hopefully we get the payoff that the character deserves, that the fandom should have. But time will tell, right? So, y'all, let us know how you feel about this latest episode. Again, let's try to stay away from the spoilers until we have our after show, right? Then we can spoil everything with everybody. Let's try to be respectful of those who haven't watched things yet. Let us know how you feel about the episode. Was this a letdown to you? Was this an improvement from where we've been going? Are you excited about the conclusion of Obi-Wan? And do you feel like we're giving Star Wars a fair shake here? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below.